Hey everyone, welcome back to Launch Codes Football. My name is Chris.
And my name is Chelsea.
And we are on episode 42, talking about the offseason today and just some of the crazy things that have gone on. But Chelsea, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling real good. I'm in San Francisco today, as you can tell by my background. I had to shout out the Warriors. Congrats on Steph Curry's third ring. Gotta love it.
Definitely. Fourth.
He only had 3 on his necklace. That's misleading.
No, he's got. You could argue that Kevin Durant carried him to 2. I'm kidding. To any Warriors fans,
please.
I'm kidding. I joke. Please. I am not one of those. Look.
Okay, undercover Boston fan.
No, I'm literally not. I did want a better series though. My goodness, Jason Tatum, where were you that whole series? Like,
yeah. No, couldn't tell you.
I think. I know this NFL podcast, but I actually don't. I think the Celtics weren't bad, but I definitely think they needed more out of Tatum to win that series. But I don't know. What do I know about professional basketball and how to coach that? So
what do we know about basketball? This is a football podcast.
That's right. We know literally nothing. It's not like we've know basketball too, but it's fine. That's for maybe another podcast some other day. Off-topic podcast. There we go.
The draft is tomorrow.
Oh, snap.
I really
there
want
you
the
go.
Pacers to take Jaden Ivey like really badly because he played at Purdue. It's just fitting. Come on, man.
It really would be. But yeah, anyways, today I know I said like we got some crazy news, but in all seriousness, it's kind of not really great news out of the NFL today. I mean, we'll have, our fun in this episode, but definitely like some, I don't know, in my opinion, not great news, but we're going to talk about it today. So let's go ahead. We'll start off today talking about, let's talk about Dan Snyder and what's been going on there. Basically, Dan Snyder has been in a whole mess of hot water for a long time now. Washington fans are not a fan of him at all. Most NFL fans do not like Dan Snyder and wishes that he would just sell the team or step down as owner. And today, there was just a mess. He had his court hearing and there was, came out that he launched a shadow investigation. Well, let me back up for a second. Basically, what happened was Dan Snyder's been in some trouble recently due to put it lightly, sexual misconduct towards his employees, specifically his female employees. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty because that's just not something we really want to talk in detail about, but he did some not great stuff and he's made some not great comments towards his female fellow employees. And this is not the first time this has happened to NFL owners, believe me, and I guarantee it's happening. I could almost guarantee it probably is still happening with the other owners. We don't know. But basically today, it did come out that he launched a shadow investigation, which was basically an investigation that was very private, where he was trying to send out private investigators to basically disprove the employees, trying to get them to, admit that it wasn't true or something like that. It's just really shady business. And now he's in a whole mess. And Roger Goodell talked about it today. And, he was asked if Dan Snyder would be removed as an owner of an NFL team. And Roger Goodell himself said he does not have the authority to do that, which is just mind-blowing. When the commissioner of the league themselves does not have the power to remove an owner, then I don't know who does or how that's even going to happen. But anyways, Chelsea, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this whole crazy situation?
I mean, my first thought is, how does Roger Goodell not have the power to remove someone as an owner when he's the commissioner? Like, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, I don't know a lot about how that process works, so don't think that I know it all on the subject, because I definitely don't. But I mean, you would think that the rest of the owners would want to get rid of Dan Snyder, considering the shadow he's casting on their league. You would think that Roger Goodell would also want to make him step down, again, considering the shadow he's casting on not only the league, but also on Roger Goodell's reputation for him even being here to begin with. The NFL has had a pretty strong disliking for Dan Snyder for years now. It is not a surprise. It really doesn't come as a surprise to me that he tried to launch some shady investigation, because that sounds like exactly something Dan Snyder would do, which is just really a shame when you have, all of these people coming out and saying these things, and you have all of this legal stuff, and he's like still trying to disprove it. And it's like, dude, like, yes, innocent until proven guilty, obviously. But I feel like at this point, he's like pretty much been proven guilty with the testimonies and everything that have come from female employees, pieces that have come from other people inside the organization, etc. So it's just a mess. Like, you would think that like the shareholders of Washington and other owners, and that the commissioner, and that really anyone who has any kind of big power in the NFL would want to get this guy out in order to save the reputation of one of their 32 teams. But I guess that's not the case. I don't know. The dude, he just, to be quite honest, doesn't deserve to be there, which is a real shame, because there are a lot of good people in Washington's organization. Like, Ron Rivera is a stand-up, awesome guy who is loved by the entire league. Like, they have some really cool players on there, some really cool coaches. Like, I'm sure that they have good people in their management outside of Dan Snyder as well. So it's just a real shame that Dan Snyder just kind of casts this shadow over the whole organization, when not everyone in the organization is a crappy person.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, this is also, things have not been good overall for Washington's staff. They've kind of had a messy offseason. You've got Jack Del Rio making his comments, being fined money. And just recently you've got Ron Rivera getting fined quite a bit of money for having too physical of a practice.
Which, side note, it's football. I get it's the off season, but really,
yeah. To be honest,
you're gonna find someone for football being too physical. That's the nature of the sport. Like,
I'd have to see, how bad it is, but from what I understand, look, Ron Rivera played for
took someone's head off. Like, okay.
Look, Ron Rivera played for the 85 Bears. He played during that time. Things have changed a lot since then. But you are asking a defensive player a used to be defensive player for a championship Bears team, one that every Bears fan, I swear, still hangs on to this day. I don't blame them. But, you're asking someone of that era to coach a football team, and that's what he grew up on. He's always been kind of about tough defense. Again, we don't know all the details about what happened, so I'm not going to sit here and come to the man's defense, because we don't know. Obviously, They saw enough reason to fine him, and we don't know why. But all I'm saying with that is that Washington's offseason has been a hot mess. And
they got Carson Wentz.
And to be honest, was that even a good thing? I don't know. And
for me, it was.
And so I look at it like they're still trying to handle Terry McLaurin's contract, and
which is its own mess.
And to be honest, for McLaurin, like, would you want to come back to that? I don't know. Like, would it take a lot of money? It's just been a messy situation. Washington has been nothing but controversy under Dan Snyder, in my opinion. And when companies are under a lot of controversy, it usually has to go back all the way to ownership. And to be honest, with the Commanders trying to be, they're trying to make themselves a new face of the NFL. They're trying to rebrand everything. This might be where they have to start. So, really bad work cultures a lot of times come from bad ownership. The ownership creates the atmosphere. And in this case, Washington has had a losing atmosphere for so long now. They have not been what they once were, making Super Bowls back in the day. Now they haven't even cut one close. They make a playoff game every once in a while, but I don't know, Chelsea. I just think this has just been a messy offseason, and I think a lot of it goes back to ownership.
No, I completely agree with you, and I think probably their biggest problem right now outside of Dan Snyder is Terry McLaurin. Like, the dude is really good. You don't want to lose him. But with the kind of organization that Washington is right now, like you were saying, it would make someone not want to stay. I don't blame them. I mean, I wouldn't want to stay in a situation surrounded by controversy and drama and unethical behavior. I don't think anyone would want to stay in that. Now, whether he does or not is soon to be seen, but they got to keep him. Like, he's Carson Wentz's number one wide receiver weapon. Like, they got to keep him. It's really not an argument. Like, you pay the man and you move on. Like, it shouldn't be this dramatic.
Yep, I agree. I guess we'll have to see, kind of where this ends up. But right now, I wish more teams were able to run like the Packers and not have an owner. I know the Packers did it, and now that's the only reason they're the only team that's allowed to do it, because they were doing it before. I think it'd be better if cities could run NFL teams or not have an owner. It's not that the city itself is choosing the players and stuff like that, hiring players, all of that, but their ownership is just so shady. I mean, you look at the Chargers, Stan Kroenke, not the Chargers, I'm so sorry. It was the Rams, Stan Kroenke, left St. Louis, a very dedicated fan base for LA, which, yes, they won a Super Bowl, but I would argue they are not near the top sport in LA, even though they just won. I think the
Definitely
Lakers,
not.
the Lakers and Dodgers, all of that, like they are the kings over LA. LA is not a football city. Yeah, they're going to sell tickets. They're going to have people go to games, but the St. Louis Rams, they had a legit fan base. And then you look at Dean Spanos for the Chargers, leaving also for LA, left a very dedicated fan base in San Diego for no fan base in LA. No fan base. I'm sorry. They always get more away fans than they do home fans. So now we have two competing football teams in one city because it's a money grab. I mean, it is a money grab, even though in both cities, respectively, like for Spanos, for the Chargers, he said, well, he blamed the fans. And I'm like, you put a crappy product on the field. They were so bad for so long. Like, what do you expect people to pay a bunch of money to go to see a team that wasn't good or just okay? There's much better things to do in San Diego than that. So,
right. And I mean, even with LA, like, are most people who live in LA going to pick a Chargers or Rams game over a Lakers game?
No way.
No. Are you kidding me?
Or even a Dodgers game or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Dodgers, they're very popular, but not to the extent of the Lakers. I mean, I feel like if someone was a well-rounded sports fan in LA, the vast majority of them would probably choose the Lakers first. Because you want to talk about a city and a team that has a fan base. I mean, LA is Lakers central. So yeah, it's really just a money grab. And it's a real shame for St. Louis, to be honest, because so going to baseball, I'm a Cubs fan, right? So naturally, I think the St. Louis Cardinals are evil. But you got to admire the dedication that people who live in St. Louis have for their teams. The Cardinals, extremely popular. The St. Louis Blues, the hockey team, have a huge fan base. And when the Rams were there too, they did as well. So you got to give, the people of St. Louis credit for sticking by their teams, even when they were bad, like real bad. And they still stuck by them. It's just not the same in LA. There's just so much to do there. People are so distracted and scatterbrained, and there's just so much to do. Like, even if I went to LA, I'd want to see a Lakers game or a Dodgers game too. Like, I'm not even a fan of them, but they're the Lakers and the Dodgers,
I agree. So all of this to say, I think ownership in the NFL is just a mess. The Green Bay Packers, as undesirable as like their field is to play on, and like it's Green Bay, like it's cold and it is a mess out there. Like, but they still have one of the most passionate fan bases because they know the team is theirs, and they've also been good for how long, but they
know how to market their product. They said, it's cold outside. great. Here's a cheesehead hat. They just
And
they know how to do it.
how many NFL teams fan bases have that even passion, but the fact that owners want that, but owners also dangle leaving over fans' heads as a way to keep them coming to games. Well, to be honest, especially with how expensive NFL games are already, I know this is a whole side tangent, but this kind of goes into really ownership in the NFL is kind of screwed up. And these owners, they make decisions on rules, they make decisions on so many things. And it's just like, who has authority over them? Nobody. Roger Goodell himself said today he does not have authority to make Dan Snyder step down as team owner. If the commissioner of the league doesn't have that authority, then who does? What can you do?
The other owners would be the only thing you'd guess, right?
And they don't want to do that. They're all probably working together. I mean, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist here. I'm really not. I'm just thinking logically, you and the other owners are just trying to grow the business. Like, whether you're bad or not, like, who cares if you're bad or not? As long as you guys are all making money, like, then you're set. Like, so that's why and do you think that owners, like the fact that Green Bay doesn't have an owner at all, don't you think some billionaire right now would love to own Green Bay right now? Exactly. So, and I just don't really think, I don't know if owners are a good idea. I don't know. It could be. I know a lot of teams in sports have them, but I think they can create things like, oh, we're just going to leave for some city that doesn't actually care about us, but we're going to do, and I think it just creates a mess among fans, players, and then you have situations like this going on in Washington. I'm like, what good is coming out of this? What good is coming out of this system? As good as even the Patriots were. How much controversy came out of Robert Kraft? I mean,
yep.
So I don't know. If you guys agree, let us know. Do you think the whole ownership thing should just be gotten rid of? Do you think everyone should just be like Green Bay?
Look at Jerry Jones with it was that lady came out of nowhere and said she was like his daughter or whatever. And he was like, no, you're not. It's like this whole thing that happened. Like, can we just behave? Is that too much to ask?
Look, I will say, even though, many people are not fans of Jerry Jones, he at least appears to care about winning. I mean,
no, he cares. He cares too much.
Well, either way, I think that'd be an interesting topic. Please, comment and let us know. Should cities own their teams? Would that be less controversial? Would that just create a better environment among the league, among players? I don't know. It may not. I guess there's a reason there's a system like this in every sport, but is it a good reason is the question.
That's a fair question.
So anyways, next we've got some pretty sad news that came out today. Linebacker for the Ravens, Jalen Ferguson, has passed away at age 26. He was a third-round pick for the Ravens back in 2019, and they found him. They tried to treat him last night, I believe, in Baltimore, if I'm correct. And unfortunately, he has passed. And I don't know, I heard about this. This is pretty tragic. I mean, anytime someone passes away, it's a tragic thing. But, especially someone who's young and healthy, has a future ahead of them. I think that hurts even worse. And, we've just had Dwayne Haskins passing, a couple months ago, not that long ago. And now we've got yet again another young player with another tragic passing. And I don't know, it really, really hurts and sucks to see. Prayers to his family and his friends and everybody impacted by it. But yeah, we did want to just, I guess, talk a little bit about that and just mention that it's big news, but it's sadly, I don't know, it's pretty tragic.
Yeah, I mean, this is terrible. There are too many deaths of too many young professional athletes these days. It's just, unfortunately, it seems to be a pattern that is starting to take place, which needs to quickly be erased because it should not be this way. I mean, kind of in the same vein, basketball player, 25 years old, Caleb Swanigan, played at Purdue, played for a couple of teams in the NBA, also passed away, 25. So we got 25, 26, 24. Like, this is too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, either we've got to put some regulations or some practices in place to be able to help these people out who are struggling. Like, because this is just too much. This should not be happening. And it's just, it's just a result of a broken world, if we're being honest. I mean, it's just sad. So it really breaks my heart. These things should not be happening. And Jalen Ferguson and Caleb Swanigan and Dwayne Haskins, they should all still be with us. And the fact that they aren't is just devastating. So definitely prayers going out to Ferguson's family and his friends and his teammates and, all the rest of the young athletes who have passed away sadly over the recent months. It's just too much. Like, this has got to stop.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so prayers out to them, and yeah, hopefully we don't see more of this or a pattern of this in the future. But kind of going on to next, what we wanted to talk about, we personally, now just to kind of address this, we didn't really want to talk about this a lot, because not that we don't like talking about these things, it's just more like, I don't want to I don't like using things like this to get clicks or something like that, because this is very tragic, and just, I don't know, I feel like we offer our condolences, and we do, and we care, we do. But I don't know. There's no use milking a segment about this. This is something very personal to a lot of people. So, I know a lot of sports media is going to run with this to get clicks. We will not do that, So, all right. But yeah, so moving on, the next thing we've got here. So in some, not super shocking news, but, probably the biggest or some of the biggest news around, Rob Gronkowski, Big Gronk, decides to retire for the second time, for legit, for real this time.
Maybe.
Well, for quote unquote real. Last time he only retired because he didn't want to go to the Lions.
Right.
So,
which,
I'll be honest, that is one of the funniest stories. I'll be real. Yeah. Like, this man had such a disdain for Detroit that he was, and to be honest, if you're Rob, do you want to get traded from the New England Patriots with Tom Brady, who are like on the cusp of Super Bowl every year, to Detroit? No. But anyways, and it did nothing but benefit him, because he got to take some time off and then come back to another Super Bowl contender. So, I know that may be controversial, but I don't know. I kind of get it. But anyways, Gronk says he retires for real now. I'm gonna be honest. If Brady is in December looking high and mighty for another playoff run, and then he says, "Hey, buddy, you want to come for a Super Bowl run?" Do you think Gronk's gonna say no to that?
No.
Like, come on. Literally, there are NFL analysts right now who used to be players that said, believe me, if a team, this is like a dream scenario. If a team called me up in December, I didn't have to practice or play the whole season, and then called me up and said, hey, we need you for a playoff run, and your first games, you get to go back in a playoff game. They're like, I would love that. Like when Marshawn Lynch did that a few years ago for Seattle, when they signed him back for a playoff run, like, that's like the stuff of dreams for veterans, And so I don't know. I feel like if they needed it, I think Gronk would, I think he'd come back for a few games.
Pretty immediately after Gronk retired, his agent was like, it wouldn't surprise me if he came out of retirement if Brady asked him. Like, come on. Like, do we really think that Gronkowski is truly retired? After the fake out that Tom Brady did to me and how he shattered my hopes and dreams, I believe nothing now.
Oh my goodness. Someone said, yeah, we feel like he wrote it in pencil, kind of that idea where he could
erase it.
Yeah. I don't think he's intentionally faking this, right? I don't think he's sitting there being like, okay, I'm gonna fake retire or something like that. I don't think he was even being considered for trade unless someone got real desperate for a tight end. I'm not
Yeah, I
saying
mean,
he's bad, but
if he wanted to go back, he would have re-signed like right after the season ended. Like he would not have taken this long if he legitimately had no other thoughts except going back. So I believe him when he says that he retired, just like I believe Brady. But in the same line, it would not surprise me if he promptly unretired if Tom Brady asked him. If anyone else asked him, I don't know if he would. But if Tom Brady was like, hey, man, we got some guys on the IR right now. Do you think you could come back and do me a solid and help me out? Are you kidding me? Yes, he would say yes.
yeah. And would anyone blame him? No, he gets to come back for a playoff run, one last shot for the heck of it. Like, I wouldn't blame him. I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be like, wow, I didn't have to worry about getting hurt all season. And
didn't
now
have to practice. This is
exactly.
Great.
Now I get to come in, get paid a couple million to just drop in for a playoff run real quick. And if we don't do, and if I'm bad, they'll just be like, oh, like, okay, he didn't play the whole season. We get it. He has no loss in here. He is Rob Gronkowski. He's got 4 rings. He is what considered widely as one of the best tight ends of all time. I mean, I don't know if he's the best. That's up to everyone's different opinions, but he has nothing to lose if he came back. And if he doesn't come back, he has nothing to really lose there either. This man has set himself well. And to be honest,
he really has.
To be honest, I don't blame him for retiring, but I would not be surprised if he came back. I don't think anyone would be if he came back for like 5 games or something. I don't know.
Comes back for 5 minutes, wins Super Bowl, promptly retires again for a 3rd time.
Now I'm retired. Like I'm actually
retired
done
now.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, because it's crazy because he was actually putting up decent numbers last year, aside from being injured. When he was in games, he was good. He is still a legit tight end in this league, as kind of old as he is for an NFL player. Isn't that amazing? Like,
it is.
I don't know. I know Chelsea
all those commercials that have just, lengthened his playing career.
Mm-hmm. I know Chelsea as a Colts fan. I imagine you love Gronk there. I know every Indy fan loves Gronk.
I'm not gonna lie. I will not lie. I actually do like Gronk. I've always liked Gronk. Not gonna lie. He's one of 2 Patriots players that I have liked. Surprisingly enough, I'm gonna tell a funny story.
Go for it.
So in my closet, I have a Rob Gronkowski Super Bowl jersey. Yes, me, a Colts fan, has a Patriots Super Bowl jersey. But you know what the best part about it is? It's from the Super Bowl when they lost to the Giants in Indianapolis. So it's Rob Gronkowski's Super Bowl losing jersey. And I just feel like that's appropriate,
You've cursed Gronkowski. Now every time you want them to lose, you just wear that jersey. And they're like, what are you doing?
The funniest part about that is that when they had all the Super Bowl festivities downtown Indianapolis, my family and I, we went, and it was my first year playing fantasy football. And I had Rob Gronkowski on my team, who carried that year. And I had Victor Cruz with the Giants. And I originally wanted a Victor Cruz jersey, but they had sold out. So I compromised and I got a Rob Gronkowski jersey, and my mom bought it for me. And to this day, every time I bring it out, she's like, I hate that thing. You're not allowed to wear that. And I'm like, you bought it for me. It's a Super Bowl losing jersey. It's like a walking meme.
Yeah. And it's ironic because you're a Colts fan. And
I am, but I've always liked Gronk. Not going to lie.
I mean, I really do believe he's definitely top 10.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably top 5.
Yeah.
And as far as number 1, is he good? Is he as good as Alex Rodriguez? Did I just say the wrong name?
I'm
so sorry.
Tony Gonzalez?
I'm gonna go home now. Good night. Bye.
What?
I don't know why I said I'm so sorry. Whatever. Okay. Either way. Is he at
Alex
that level?
Rodriguez played baseball, I believe.
I know. I don't know what is wrong with me. Please get me out of my
Was
mind.
that for the Yankees he played for?
Yeah,
and won a bunch
literally.
of
Can I go
World
home?
Series rings?
I know. I apologize to
Yikes.
everyone who just listened to that. I'm sorry. I apologize. I do.
Woo.
I'm sorry.
Brain fart.
But to any Falcons fan, well, I don't apologize to Falcons fans because, I'm a Panthers fan. So, like, no, I don't apologize to you.
Wah,
But
wah, 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 wah.
But in all seriousness, is he at that level? I don't know. I mean, I think it's up for debate. Gronk was one of those players. I mean, he also had Tom Brady throw into him, but I don't think that made him just. I mean, it definitely helped. I don't think that's the reason he was great, but I do think that Gronk demanded so much attention from defenses. I mean, and even if you had all that attention on him, he could still catch it over you. He's a big body. And he most of the time always seemed to be open, ready for the catch. I mean, I think one of the more impressive catches I saw him make was like against the Eagles, and where he was very tightly covered. It was in the Super Bowl that they lost. But his touchdown helped them get back into the game. And it was really impressive. I mean, the Eagles were kind of dominating for a while, but that touchdown switched the momentum up. And, while the Patriots didn't quite win the game, it was an incredible catch. And I mean, who were they throwing to on the Hail Mary at the end of that game? It was Gronk. And, there was a decent shot he could have gotten that. So I don't know. I think that overall, the man has earned his status in Canton. He is going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, NFL Twitter confirmed it, said next stop Canton. So, I mean, the NFL Twitter themselves already called it.
Yes,
I don't
verifiable resource right there.
I mean,
the social media interns running NFL Twitter.
True. Didn't think about that one. But if the NFL themselves is saying you're going to the Hall of Fame, like, come on.
If he didn't make the Hall of Fame, that would be a travesty.
Honestly, do we need to do a segment next week on players that should have made the Hall of Fame but aren't?
We might need to, because that would be pretty entertaining.
That would be so entertaining. I mean, for the longest time, Terrell Owens was not in the Hall of Fame. He is now. It took a very long time, though, because, the media has to vote on it. And, he loved the media. And I know the media loved him very much. So I don't know. I think that'd be a pretty cool segment. To anybody listening, let us know. Would that be a fun segment? We could get everybody's takes on different players. And if you want, we could get you to just list your reasons on why you think they should have made the Hall of Fame. Or we could do players that don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame and your reasons why. I think that would be really an interesting episode.
Because, either one would be interesting. So let us know if you guys are interested in that and we can make it happen.
Yeah. But anyways, I think that's about it for this week, what we've got. So yeah, Chelsea, do you want to go ahead and lead us out of here?
Yep, for sure. So thanks for listening, guys. Tune back in next week for more content. In the meantime, follow us on Twitter at LaunchCodesFB and on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at LaunchCodesFootball. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later.